Welcome to Stadium Journeys of Obstructed Views, the show where a couple of guys in a couple of different countries have a couple of beers and discuss the stadium somewhere in the world and their experiences there. I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.
And we're excited to be here with you again tonight. Before we get started, please take a minute and subscribe to the Stadium Journey YouTube channel. That's where you'll find all of our Obstructed View podcasts, all of our regular podcasts, and even more. But wait, there's more. Feel free to like the video, even if you don't like it. We won't tell anybody. Feel free to leave comments. The official Stadium Journey review of today's venue can be found at stadiumjourney.com. The link can be found in the comments below, right down there. So let's get rolling. Dave, what are you drinking today?
Okay, so today I have a gift beer. Gift beer, which is always good because that means you didn't pay for it.
That's kind.
Gift beer from my friend Rakesh, who came over and brought me this at our Grey Cup party. Go Argos, champs.
Argos did win, right?
They did, yes. Last second. It was excellent. So anyway, this is from Wellington Brewery in Guelph. It is not a word spoken.
Cool can.
Yeah.
What's the can there? Motorcycle guy?
Kind of freaky, yeah. And yeah. The wheels off, and yeah, it is an apricot IPA. So not a huge IPA person. I'm not really sure how it's an apricot IPA. To me, this is like a sour. So I like sours, and I
don't like sours.
It's good for its moment, but
they're too sour.
But yeah, not a word spoken. I've already spoken too many words. What do you got?
Let's see. After a Boston Pride game a couple of weeks ago, that we found actually a nice little brewery on an old race course, an old horse racing course, only a few blocks away from the arena, called Notch Brewery, and I picked up the Standard. It's a Czech Pils that they make a couple times a year. I guess it's the Standard because it was like their original beer, because they've made several flavors since then. So it's a nice place. Maybe not so nice during hockey season because it's got a little courtyard where you can have tables and sit down and have some food and drink. But there are also some inside seating. So Notch Brewery, it actually has a couple of locations. One in Salem, Mass, if you want to go check out some ghosts and some witches and stuff, or one right near Warrior Ice Arena if you want to check out some quality women's hockey. And the back-to-back is the Bell Cup champions. If you were visiting today's destination, you might be drinking a Hop Mama IPA from Schmaltz Brewery in Troy, New York, because today we are talking about Houston Fieldhouse, the home of the Rensselaer Polytechnic University Engineers, that's a mouthful, hockey team. Before we dive in, let's take a look at the Stadium Vitals. So I'm not going to say Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute anymore. Apologies to my son-in-law, Greg, who actually went to school there. We're going to call it RPI for brevity's sake. We keep saying the full name. This podcast will last like 2 hours. So RPI hockey. I was looking at my IPA and RPI. Never mind. Anyway, the RPI hockey engineers, national champions 2 times, once in the 50s, once in the 80s. The 85 team, did we say was?
Yep, 85.
85 led by Hall of Famer Adam Oates, Darren Pupa, John Carter, who all had good careers in the NHL. But that's not the most interesting thing about Houston Fieldhouse. For this arena, its backstory, I think, is really the coolest thing about it. So, Dave, do you want to dive into the, not the stadium vitals, but the stadium history for our listeners?
Well, the Houston Fieldhouse, named after the president at the time, Livingston W. Houston, lived its original life in World War II as a airplane hangar, I believe.
Yes, an airplane hangar, not located in Troy, New York.
Yeah, that's the fascinating part, is that it wasn't located in Troy. It was located in
Davisville, Rhode Island, which is the Quonset Point thing project now for those of you from the area.
So basically, I guess they packed it. They took it apart piece by piece, packed it on a bunch of trucks, drove it to the capital region, and slapped it up and said, "Let's play hockey."
Yeah, yeah. They had a program at the end of World War II because they had built all these things for the war effort. This program, which they called the Veterans Education Facilities Program, we got a lot of acronyms in this show, the VEFP, where you could take surplus war stuff and repurpose it for your own things. And somebody at RPI said, "Hey, let's take an airplane hangar and turn it into our field house." And yeah, so like you said, they took it apart in Rhode Island, moved it up to Troy, and put it back together. Now I think the whole process took a couple of years, but since then they kind of used it for everything at RPI. I think it's hosted the first event was actually the interfraternity ball. So with Elliot Lawrence and his orchestra. So it's had basketball held there, shooting, commencement ceremonies. It actually was the home of the Capital District Islanders of the American Hockey League for a few years too. So
Okay,
it's done a little bit of everything.
1959 Frozen Four home as well, and they filmed part of the original video for the Harlem Shake. I don't know if you remember this. This was kind of all the rage. It was
That was horrible. Yes.
annoying song, and then everybody was like gyrating in weird different ways.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was it was there.
There you go. Blame RPI for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Way to go, RPI. To me, at 1949, it opened and a capacity of 4,700. To me, it is just like the North Bay Memorial Gardens. It is the same kind of structure. It's not a barn. It's more of a bunker. It flat roof, two huge sets of beams that travel the length of the ice, kind of on each side with pillars in each corner. So I'm sure there are some obstructed views in that place, and you know how I feel about pillars and sitting behind pillars and near pillars. Now, thankfully, that was not an issue for us, and they are just in the corners, so that's not too bad. So it's a funny one in that I find it looks much better from the outside than the inside.
Very nice looking arena. Yes.
Yeah, it's got a nice nice exterior from the front, big kind of rounded bay window that leads into a decent kind of ticketing area where, I don't know, I guess people pick up player tickets because everybody buys everything online. So why do you need ticket windows anymore? And then you have a little bit of a kind of waiting area, and it leads right into, like, literally right into the arena itself.
Yeah, you walk in and there's a big platform there, and you're actually right behind the net when you go in, and concession stands are off to one side, and actually concession stands are off on both sides from there.
You can't do the 360 there. Everything is underneath the grandstands, which are on the sides. Narrow concourses under there, very narrow. Now, for the number of people that are there, it's not a big deal at all. I feel that there was maybe 1,000 people when I was there, for the game that I was at. That it is neat though to walk into that platform and to be standing on like the main floor, but higher than the ice. I don't know. There's something that's just kind of cool about that one.
It's like you're coming out on a stage.
Situation. Yeah. Well, funny enough, you say stage. It sure looks like it's a stage on the other side, because you have a big, huge, giant blue curtain. And I guess due to a lack of space, this is where they house all their maintenance equipment. So the Zambonis are parked back there in full view. If you're over kind of in that area, you can watch them dump the ice right out after they flood. There's other stuff back there. It's not like they hide it at all. In fact, on that glass at the end, because there's no seats back there, they have, and this is pretty unique, I think. They have a big not a mural, but like a big engineers sign right there on the glass. Which, I mean, where have you seen that before? I don't really know anywhere. But yeah, college hockey is just, I don't know. There's nothing like it. I mean, it's the building sizes in many cases are akin to what I would be used to in junior hockey. Like this would be one. Of course, there's some bigger ones too. You know, Ohio State, Wisconsin. Those are huge buildings at like 15,000 a piece. But you know, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. That's kind of the junior hockey wheelhouse. And
Wouldn't make sense to have a big place in a place like RPI
no,
with a
of course not.
small enrollment, and a city like Troy was not a big city. It is the only college hockey Division I team in the Albany area. Well, you have Union that's out in Schenectady, but in the immediate Albany area, it's the only game in town.
Right. And they do that college hockey thing, right? Like they have the little pep band up there. Yep. And those guys, I love the guys in the band. They just look like they're having so much fun all the time. I think if I were to come back as a student again, I'd like to be in a band, not a rock band, like in a, you know, even I think the hockey band or the basketball band's even better. You don't have all that marching and formation.
Yeah, exactly. You just can sit there and play. Yeah,
you
don't
just
have to march.
go and play your trumpet or your triangle and just have fun.
Your triangle.
whatever you play, man.
That's my speed.
Ding. But they're kind of the leaders of everything up there. And there was a little bit of a student section, but it wasn't really huge. It was just kind of a smattering of people. But it was the students in the band that kind of made everything happen.
Do they still do the thing at RPI where after every score, somebody grabs a flag and runs the whole circumference of the rink and high fives as many people as he can on the way?
Yeah, it was a guy from the band, and he grabs the flag and runs around. And I want to find this video because when he was doing it, the first time I noticed, he had a cameraman behind him. So some guy with a camera was running the whole way, all the way around. And
I have a video of it. It's probably not as good as something that you would find shot by a real good cameraman.
But. Yeah. But yeah, the band leads in all of the sayings and all that kind of stuff. And you know, in college hockey, everything sucks. So when they introduce a player, that player sucks. And I had never heard of this one before, but they kind of take it to another level. So the penalties, I think, are kind of funny. And the PA guy really plays right into it because he just has that perfect pause, you know. So they penalty to number 12. I saw him play Dartmouth, you know, Dartmouth number 12, Fred Smith sucks. And 2 minutes for sucking. So if you really want to know what the penalty was for, you better wait until the PA guy repeats it so you can catch what it is. But it's just, you know,
there's not somebody there on the score sheet saying, "Oh, 2 minutes for sucking."
Everybody on this team sucks. So it's just one of those fun little things. You know, they don't take it too far. I didn't think anyway. I was surprised at some of the names that had run through there. You know, Adam Oates, like you said, Joy Juneau was there. Kevin Constantine was there, the head coach. Like you said, Darren Pupa. I feel like I said Adam Oates already. So there's a kind of a healthy set of retired numbers in the end. Well, they're not even retired because I did see a couple guys wearing number 18. There was a guy on RPI wearing number 18. That's Jerry Knightley, who I'm sure was a wonderful player in the 60s. I have no idea who he was, but he has his number honored. One of the things that I thought was interesting there, in that end, when you walk in, there's actually like a little private club. You know,
yes.
Concessions are pretty weak. You know, ballpark Drek, stadium Drek, arena Drek, whatever, dogs and drinks, and you know, nothing really spectacular. There was a Ben and Jerry's stand there. So that I guess
that's right. I remember that
a little bit better. I thought it was funny.
That's right. Go down to the riverfront. Lots of good places down there.
Yeah. when I did my initial run, it was the little stand was there and it was closed. And then they did an advertisement for it. And I was like, why are you advertising this? It's closed. So then my son went for a walk and, he made sure to come back for money because Ben and Jerry's was open.
Yeah, and actually, RPI actually has some really cool traditions going on that have actually, I've said actually like 3 times there, I apologize, have changed the college hockey rule book. So let's get into that. So one of the traditions that's big at RPI is the hockey line. I don't know if you've read my review on Stadium Journey, you would know all about the hockey line. So for years, when the team started in the '80s, when the team was Final Four caliber and won a championship in '85, students would start in the summertime camping out for tickets, and they would just get in line. And the college encouraged this and let them hook up generators and blankets and cots and beds and video games or what have you in the line. And the kids from the frats would stay in line. In one case, all summer line. The record was 178 days. The Psi Epsilon fraternity camped out from the day they won the national championship in '85 to September when the tickets went on sale. So for 178 days, somebody was in line at the box office for tickets, and that's
Hopefully
a tradition.
they rotated because man,
Yeah,
they smell bad
did.
after
Yeah,
175
can you
days.
imagine? But the hockey line doesn't last as long as it does now. Maybe it's a couple days, but it's still a tradition that carries on. But the big one that actually changed the NCAA rule book is the Big Red Freakout. And what that is, it's kind of like their version of homecoming, where it's a big calendar event, the big game of the season. They give a premium giveaway as part of the night every year. And in, let's see, 1987, they had to change the rule book because that day they played Brown and they gave away noisemakers. And the kids went so crazy with those noisemakers that it interfered with the game, and artificial noisemakers are now prohibited at all NCAA events. So if you've ever had your air horn or your whatever, your Zuzuvela confiscated at the gates at an NCAA games, you can say, damn you, RPI, it's their fault.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, the Big Red Freakout. I read about that and I thought that sounds kind of interesting. But
that would be a fun game to go to.
Yeah, as I said before, the concession's not so stellar, but you're right. Head into town, or you're right there, Albany, Troy. It's like throwing a rock across the river kind of thing. And I feel like we're required to say that there is a dinosaur barbecue in Troy,
which is actually Pam's favorite dinosaur barbecue out of all the dinosaur barbecues.
Wow!
And whenever I have a road trip that is scheduled to go down Interstate 90, she will give it her thumbs up, approvable, because we're going by Troy and we can detour to the dinosaur in Troy.
So what would make the Troy dinosaur barbecue better, different than Buffalo or Rochester or Syracuse?
I prefer the Rochester or Syracuse ones. It looks more like a barbecue place to me, but they're all the same. I don't know. Pam just likes, for whatever reason, she likes the Troy one better.
Hey, can't argue with Pam.
Happy wife, happy life, right?
Right.
And one other thing we haven't mentioned about RPI. RPI is the reason why I am on social media Puckman RI and not just Puckman. Because the mascot of the RPI hockey team is a giant puck with an engineer hat named Puckman. And the last time I went to an Engineers hockey game, I had the pleasure of meeting Puckman. We had worlds collided. Puckman meets Puckman RI. We got a nice picture together. So I got that going for me. I'm surprised it's not framed right behind me there. It should be.
And I
actually photoshopped it because it says RPI on his chest. So I took the P out. So he's Puckman RI.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And I would say that I really like the name Engineers. It's totally unique. I don't know of any other school or anything that's the Engineers. I'm sure there's probably someone somewhere.
There are, maybe not in D1, but yeah.
But it's it fits the school. I mean, you don't have to worry about it being, about people or anything like that. And they tried to change it a couple times, and the students said no.
Really?
So
I didn't know that.
you got to like that.
Why would you change the name like Engineers? It fits. It's an engineering school. That's what they're known for.
I don't know.
Huh. That would be like calling Johns Hopkins the Blue Jays instead of the Doctors. Oh wait, they do that. They do that. All right. I don't know. So that is our look at Houston Fieldhouse, one of those solid hockey barns that makes hockey road trips. We talk about like hockey arenas. Usually, when you get in especially at the big time level, at the NHL level, especially once you get inside, it's just you could be in Columbus or San Jose or Quebec. They're all basically it's a hockey rink, but at these lower levels, these smaller rinks have this character and have this personality that just adds to the game. So that's why when we do hockey trips, that's why we go to these smaller places.
Yeah. And they're unique. They're all different, and they all have their own little niches, their own little things to them. So
exactly, the traditions that
makes it worth it for sure.
Absolutely. So that's our look at Houston Fieldhouse on the campus of RPI. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you on the road again real soon. Cheers.
Cheers.